My name is Aiden Cook, a hunter from Fairbanks, Alaska.
For 20 years, I've roamed these forests, knowing every trail and creek within 100 miles. But what happened in October 2019, deep in the wilderness between Anchorage and the Brooks Range, I can't explain or forget. After that, I swore I'd never go back to that place. I set out on a moose hunt into the heart of the tundra, a remote area where you rarely see another soul. It was a typical fall trip. I packed my rifle, GPS, satellite phone, tent, and enough supplies for a week. The weather was cold, with low clouds blanketing the sky, but that's normal for Alaska. On the second day, I set up camp near a small creek, planning to track moose in the morning. As evening fell, a thick fog rolled in dense, like milk, so heavy my flashlight barely cut through it 5 meters out. I built a fire to stay warm, and then heard something odd.
A low hum, like the vibration of a giant tuning fork, coming from deep in the forest.
It swelled and faded, as if something was circling my camp.
I gripped my rifle and peered into the darkness.
Nothing but fog and silence. Then things got weirder. My GPS, which had always worked flawlessly, started glitching. The screen flickered, and the compass needle spun wildly, like someone was waving a magnet nearby.
My fully charged satellite phone shut off completely, and no amount of fiddling could bring it back to life. I thought it might be a malfunction, but then I noticed the fire acting strange. The flames stretched upward, as if pulled toward the sky, and the smoke twisted into eerie spirals, despite barely any breeze.
That's when I saw it. In the fog, about 20 meters from camp, a shadow moved. Tall, taller than a man, but wrong somehow.
It glided in jerky motions, not quite touching the ground.
I aimed my flashlight at it, but the beam seemed to dissolve in the fog before reaching the figure. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I shouted, "Hey, who's there?" The shadow froze for a moment, then vanished, as if it had never been there. The hum stopped, and the silence grew heavier. No birds, no crickets, nothing.
I decided to stay awake, sitting by the fire with my rifle ready. About an hour later, closer to midnight, I saw something in the sky above the trees, strange glow. It wasn't the northern lights.
I've seen those dozens of times, and they're soft, flowing.
These were 3 bright, greenish-blue lights, hovering like stars but far too low.
They moved slowly, sometimes forming a triangle, then drifting apart.
As I watched, I felt an odd sensation, like time itself slowed down, seconds stretched into minutes, and my head buzzed with a faint hum, as if someone was whispering in a language I couldn't understand. I didn't even notice at first that my watch had stopped dead at 11:47.
The lights vanished as suddenly as they appeared, and the fog began to thin.
But here's what shook me. When I checked the ground around my camp, my footprints were strange. It looked like I'd been walking in circles, but I swear I hadn't left my spot by the fire.
And within a 10-meter radius of the camp, the grass was flattened, as if something heavy had been there.
But there were no tracks, no broken branches, no sign of anything. At dawn, I packed up and got out of there as fast as I could. Back in Fairbanks, I told my friend Joe, a Tlingit who knows these woods better than anyone.
He listened quietly, then frowned and said, "That was Kushtaka, Aiden, the forest spirit. It plays with those who go too far. And those lights, the old folks say they're spirits or something from the sky. They take people if you don't leave in time." Joe told me others had disappeared in that area, hunters, tourists, even a couple of rangers. No bodies, no traces. When I got home, I checked my watch. It was running again, but showed a time 2 hours behind what it should have been. My phone powered back on, but all the data, maps, coordinates, even a couple of photos I'd taken that day were gone. I've avoided that area ever since. They say it's part of the Alaska Triangle, where people and planes vanish without a trace. I don't know if it was Kushtaka, UFO, or just my mind playing tricks in that cursed fog. But those lights, that shadow, and the feeling that time stopped, they still haunt my dreams. If anyone asks what's out there in the wilderness, I tell them one thing: don't go there. Something's waiting, and it doesn't want you to come back.